All right, so I'm in LA. I came to LA to go thrifting, which is the first time I've come down here to go thrifting in 3 months. The last time I was down here was mid-March. There are still things going on in LA, but LA is a very widespread place. Also, not all of the thrift stores I typically go to are open. So I'm probably gonna have to go to some that I don't typically go to, but I've scouted out some. The dog's in the back. Boo, are you excited to go to daycare? You get to go play with the dogs today. So I'm gonna drop the dog off and then I'm gonna take you thrifting. And we are, I don't know where we're gonna go first, but we're gonna get some good stuff today. I'm feeling good about it. So let's go thrift. All right, so I filled my cart and I'm going to sort through things. These were those pair of boots that I found earlier. I did recently sell this brand, and I don't know how it's pronounced, but shoes typically aren't too cheap where I'm at, so I really have to love them. Plus, I don't like storing shoes. This brand did sell quickly for me, Olukai or something like that, but the boots weren't going to bring in enough to justify the price, so I left those behind. This next pair of shoes was a pair of the Lavender Vera Wang line. So it's kind of a platform style black heel. Just a really classic shoe in my opinion, and seemed to be in really great condition, but not on sale, and the comps weren't great. So, and then this next one is a Escada. This is a brand that is very expensive. It's a designer. However, it's not a great resale value typically. So I left those. All right, so you may remember this jacket. I didn't recognize the label. Hit or miss comps, I believe, or I couldn't find good enough comps. But either way, it may have some value. It was just a little risky. I did have a full cart of stuff, and so I just decided it wasn't worth the risk for me. I'm pointing out the button right here because typically when there's that much branding, it can be a good sign, but I left it behind. So, all right, and I'm dropping things like normal. So this is one of my favorite brands to pick up. Very, very expensive retail, and some of the pieces can have a great resale value, but this was a hot mess. That pilling is absolutely fixable. However, for $10, I don't want to put in that much work because time is money. So although I do love this brand, also, right when I was looking at things, I did notice that there was some damage to the leather. So definitely left that behind. All right, so this is a label I remember seeing before, and I couldn't remember where it was. I believe this is an Aritzia brand. You guys can correct me in the comments below because I didn't double check, but I believe that's what it is. Anyways, really loved it. I believe purple tags were half off, but there was a bit of a stain, so I left it behind. So Levi's jackets, I will pick them up, but I won't pay up for them. And they do mark up certain things in our Goodwills. So they did mark this up. This was half off, so it brought it down to 10, but I know I would have been able to sell it. It just wasn't going to be worth it for that investment for me. Again, I had a full cart. So this Hudson little kind of denim jacket with the patches, adorable, kind of a nice all season or 3-season piece. It did have a little bit of pilling on the sleeves. It wasn't in perfect condition, and the price was full price, so I decided to leave that. This, I thought, because of all the Tiger King stuff, you'll see on the back in a second, but I thought maybe this, I can't remember his different lines, but Robert Cavalli is a designer. I think he has tiered lines, so some of it's not worthwhile picking up. I didn't even bother looking this up, to be honest. It looked a little dingy. Although it may have sold, I just didn't want to pay the full price. So, all right, this is, I believe this is an Anthro. I can't remember, Little Yellow Bird or something like that. It's got 66170 RN number, but I don't know if it's Urban or Anthro. It was half off, so about $350, but it just had those pulls. So this one bummed me out so much. It's an Anthro moth. You can see right here, it looks like there's some makeup. Could I get that out? Possibly. Did I want to risk it? Not really. So adorable, but I left it behind. So this is actually my very first time finding Spiritual Gangster, and unfortunately, I decided to leave it behind. It was half off. It just looked and kind of felt worn. And when I went to look up comps, it was mixed, and then I found that exact piece a couple times had sold for not very much money. So yeah, I left it. But I'm excited to find that brand again. All right, so Joie, I'm very picky with. This is a great basic. I believe this was a linen blend, great staple piece, asymmetrical hem, full price though, and it wasn't worth it for me. This is a Free People. I really went back and forth on this. I love it personally, but I have not had much luck selling this style of Free People, and I've tried. Not this exact piece, but yeah, just not worth it. This Dolan dress, I can't remember the name of it, but I've sold this style a couple times. I do like it, but this was full price, and it looked like there were some marks in the front. It wasn't really quite staining, but maybe some watermarks, so that stayed. This is a CP Shades. Love this brand. I will almost always pick it up. yeah, but full price and with some pulls, it wasn't worth it. But a fun, I love that brand personally. So, all right, so I found a couple Hale Bob pieces. I don't find this brand too much, and I don't actually have that much luck selling it. I have sold it a number of times. Typically the very boho styles I might pick up, but this very basic color, it's a great staple piece, but then I noticed some kind of look like there were marks, maybe could come out, but I believe it was dry clean only. I think it was silk. So, and then this is another Hale Bob. This is more the typical Hale Bob I personally would pick up. But this, I can't remember what was wrong with this. This one, the size tag was not there. And although you can list something without a size tag, if I'm not confident in the piece and that's an obstacle, I'm just going to leave it behind. So this is a Madewell. It looks like a little sleep shirt. Adorable, but some of these were listed for only about $15, and that's full price. So definitely left that behind. You can see I left a lot behind, but I found a lot of good stuff. So this is a Lucky Brand jacket. Now, some people pass on Lucky Brand. They do usually mark them up in my Goodwills, but half off. It was an extra small. I did like the piece a lot, and I do like picking up Lucky Brand if it's cheap enough, but I left it behind. This is a Desigual. I know I've said it correct sometimes, but not all the time. But fun piece, full price. It looked like maybe there were a couple marks on the back. So again, dropping more stuff. All right, this one was really interesting, and I actually don't remember. I looked it up. Very interesting hemline with this kind of zipper detail and a really interesting designer. However, the comps were very inconsistent. This was full price, so $7. I probably would have only gotten about 20 to 25 at best, so I left it behind. This brand I've sold a couple times. I do like picking it up if it's cheap enough because I've had decent luck. This was half off, but it did have a couple spots in the back. So just, yes, you can get them out possibly, but when you're risking money, we don't have returns. Yeah. Another Hale Bob piece. So that's really strange to find it so much, but looked like some of the faux leather or real leather, I can't remember what it was coming off. There were some really great ankle zippers and they were stretchy. And it was half off, but that damage, I just decided safer to leave it behind. This is a brand I found it once, not new with tags, and I remember looking it up, and it was kind of, I don't know where they sell it. I think it's pretty expensive retail, but it does not have a strong resale value. It might be a Nordstrom Rack or Nordstrom brand, I can't remember, but white's a tough sell. I did notice right when I was inspecting it right here that there were some marks. So even new with tags, it wasn't going to get much in perfect condition, and I definitely wouldn't pick it up with those spots on white jeans. But all right, a pair of Free People, I believe these were a faux leather pair of pants with the ankle zippers. Great classic piece. However, Free People, unless it's super boho or super cheap, I will almost always leave behind. So this is Ava Franco, which is sometimes, if not only, sold at Anthropologie. Absolutely loved this tee, and I was going to get it, but right when I was inspecting in the good light, there were some spots. So, and then this is a Derek Lam. This brand doesn't do, or this designer doesn't do too well, or this line, but this did have some spots, so I left it behind as well, especially, I think actually this was half off, but still not worth it. All right, so I am checking out. I did get a couple hard goods from my mom, but you can see my pile of stuff. All right, so I left the first Goodwill, and I was pleasantly surprised at how much I walked away with. I think I spent $140, and the majority of that was for me. A few things for my mom for her antique booth. But yeah, I actually found a lot of stuff. I was tempted to stay longer, but I knew I wanted to go to St. Vincent's, which is where I'm going to next. St. Vincent's is the largest thrift store in LA. I've been there a couple times. It's not my favorite, but I have found some decent stuff. So I thought I'd pop in there, and then there's also a Goodwill, I believe, right near there. So that's the plan for the rest of the day. Let's go see what we can find. There were so many people. So here we are after spending about an hour searching for stuff. This is the stuff that I decided to leave behind. This is a St. John cardigan, and I don't always pick up St. John. And it just felt worn. It didn't have anything significant as far as standing out. I didn't like it. So I left it. I don't need a reason. So this brand I had never seen or heard of. I did look it up, and it looks like the retail is pretty high. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I want to say 100 to 300. I believe they sell it at some major department stores, but the resale value is not great. So for full price, it wasn't worth it. This is a cute little fossil dress, and if I've learned anything, I personally like fossil. Not everyone does. And it was, I believe, white tags. I think a lot of the stuff was half off, actually. They have a weird sales system at this store, but it still wasn't worth it. So this is actually an Aritzia brand, and I have picked it up. I believe I've sold it once or twice. But these, although they were kind of a trendy style where I feel like if someone modeled, they could really make these look really fun, they seemed worn. And those were actually only $1.20. Their cheapest sale line, but I left them. James Purse is something I love selling, especially their jogger pants. And I was really tempted to get these, even though they were faded. They were only $1.20, but I didn't want to, just because they were really faded. So, and then these Lane Bryant, I really loved this style, and it was a great size. They kind of have it a raw hem. They were only $1.20, but they did have some what looked like minor pulls. You can see that raw hem there, just very summery and very casual, but just very worn. So I left those behind as well. So just doing my typical inspection. So here's my total, not much for an hour. They had everything figured out. You can see me just browsing the case while I'm waiting for them to finish backing everything up. But overall, decent, just too many people. So. Okay, so I'm sweating from wearing the mask. So I just left St. Vincent's. I got a couple things, but to be perfectly honest, that was a really tough store for me that was the busiest I've seen any place. I mean, I've only been to a couple, but it was just so busy, and people were not hesitant to go into aisles and get really close to you, and it was warm, even though there were fans in certain areas. So I got a few things. That store is typically, busy, but I feel like because also that store tends to attract a lot of I'm not going to call them hipsters, but like young people who are shopping for themselves, and they're not in school right now. And so I just felt like, even though it's a Tuesday, anyway, so there's actually Goodwill right here. I've been to this Goodwill, and I think I feel like I had decent luck here, so I'm going to pop in. It's $3.40. This Goodwill, or all the Goodwills, close at 6. And I think that last thrift store closed at 6 as well. So I've got a couple hours basically, right? 5, 6, yeah. And then I've got to go get the dog and then find somewhere to eat. So yeah, we will see. All right, so after looking around the store for a couple hours, I am showing you all the stuff I'm leaving behind. And if you're looking at that Chloe going, why am I leaving it behind? You can see this material tag. There's just not enough evidence to me that this is authentic. And there was no other markings besides the one Chloe tag. It did have some pilling. I looked in all the pockets. I wasn't willing to take the risk because nothing is returnable at the moment at my Goodwill. So kind of a bummer, but it stayed behind. So ironically, I found the C by Chloe. Now, I do think these are authentic. This is a lower tiered line. I didn't know they made denim. And I was like, I mean, they're nothing special. If it was a really adorable piece, but you can see right there, there's markings on the button, but just not worth full price. So these were an adorable pair of shorts. If they were my size, I would have kept them. But this is Pilcrow in the letterpress from Anthropologie. Very adorable, but there were just some signs of wear. And I love picking up shorts, but I don't want to put work into something that's not going to sell for much. So I don't think I've ever tried to sell this brand. And if I have, it was a really long time ago. But Armani Exchange is something I always pass on, but I could not get over this style. Absolutely loved it. Really was tempted to pay the $5 and just try it out. But at the end of the day, I had a full cart. So pair of Joie shorts. I believe these were a silk blend, but they had some pulls and cute, but just worn. All right, this is a Saturday, Sunday Anthropologie piece. Really adorable style, but at full price, it seemed to be in good condition, just it wasn't going to bring in much. So this brand kills me. This is the second time I found this brand, and the first piece was damaged, and this is damaged. So you can see right there. And yes, for everyone that is a sewer, that might be repairable, not by me. Great brand, highly recommend. This is just a basic Madewell. It did have some just pilling, nothing special, and not worth full price. This is a Free People top. I was tempted to grab this just because it had a little element on the back that I thought was just funky enough. But yeah, full price. I'm really picky with Free People. And if it's there when it's on sale, I'd grab it, but not at that price. It kills me that this is the first time I've ever found Gymshark on my own. And it's full price, and it's not worth it. So I would pick up this brand if it were cheap enough, but it just doesn't have a super high resale value. This is Athleta. I love picking up Athleta if it's cheap enough. This is a really great piece, super oversized, extra, extra small. It did look like there were some very minor pilling that I probably could sweater shave, but again, full price, and I just didn't want to put in the work, so I left it behind. This is a Rails, and I actually picked up Rails earlier in the day, but I didn't grab this, and the reason is the size and the full price aspect. It also had some pilling, but I have not had luck with smaller Rails items, so it stayed behind. This is a Young, Broke, and Fabulous. I'll pick it up if it's cheap. This was a cute item, kind of a sheer, kind of boho style top, but at that price point, I definitely wasn't going to grab it. Ignore the wrinkles. This can be steamed out, but yeah, I left that one behind. And then I left this Vince behind. I do like picking up Vince, and I do like this piece. It's very classic, but again, I just had to be kind of choosy, and at full price, it just wasn't worth it for me. So yeah. All right, so this one I just wanted to show because you'll probably see it in my haul video cleaned up, but this was horrendous. This is a Lululemon, and it smelled and looks terrible, but I decided to grab it. So, and then this I left behind right when I was going to the register. I saw the Zach Posen, and this is the designer label, one of the designer labels. So beautiful piece, kind of had this halter underneath, silk, and it was full price, which I would have paid if it didn't have some pulls in the back and just not repairable. So loved this piece, but just wasn't worth it with those small, they were almost like small holes. So I was kind of bummed, but I did get some good designer stuff, so no worries. Oh my gosh, talk about a rush. So I was there until 6 minutes before they closed. I think what makes this really hard for me is that when you drive 2 hours to come to LA to source, typically I get here, you know, between 8 or 9, depending on if I go to the bins, which opens at 8, or regular thrift stores that open at 9. And then usually they don't close until, you know, 8 or 9 at night. And, you know, it depends on my day, but there are days that I've done that whole 12 hours. And so I'm trying to make the most of limited time from 10 to 6. And so anyways, that store, I got a lot of designer stuff, I think. And I was feeling very rushed because I'm like, oh my gosh, I know there's more good stuff here. There was one item right at the end. It was a faux fur vest by Trina Turk. Not a brand I would typically pay up for, but it was awesome. And the tag I either like accidentally pulled it off or something. Anyways, they had to retag it, and they ended up asking $14, I think, or $14.99, which at that point I had so much good stuff in my cart, I was like, whatever. So I think I spent $114 at that store. So over $100 at 2 Goodwills, and then I think about $20 at that the middle store. So really, really good day. Really pumped about how much I got, and in such a short amount of time for me. So anyways, I think I'm probably going to do the haul in another video because this video would be too long if I tried to do both. So hit the thumbs up if you like the thrift with me's. I've got to go get my dog and head home. And stay tuned, hopefully tomorrow or the next day, for a haul video. And so I can show you all the good stuff I actually did pick up. So, all right, bye guys.